Thomas and friends, making tracks to great destinations.
Dear Christopher, here is your friend Thomas the Tank Engine. He wanted to come out of his station yard and see the world. These stories tell you how he did it. I hope you will like them, because you helped me to make them. Your loving Daddy.
The island of Sodor is surrounded by beautiful blue sea. It has fields of green and sandy yellow beaches. There are rivers, streams, and lots of trees where the birds sing. There are windmills and a coal mine, and docks where visitors to the island arrive. The island also has lots and lots of railway lines. Who's that puffing down the track? It's Thomas! Hello, Thomas! Hello, everybody! Welcome to the island of Sodor.
Today on the island of Sodor, we see that Henry doesn't feel well. Then we meet a tramp named Tubby. But first Thomas left his gourd behind.
Thomas the Tank Engine is very proud of his branch line. He thinks it is the most important part of the whole railway. His two coaches, Annie and Clarabelle, agree with him. Annie can only take passengers, but Clarabelle can take passengers, baggage, and the conductor. They are both old and need new paint, but Thomas loves them very much. As they run backwards and forwards along the line, they sing songs to each other. When Thomas starts from a station, he sings, "Oh, come along, we're rather late. Oh, come along, we're rather late." And the coaches sing, "We're coming along, we're coming along." They don't mind what Thomas says to them because they know he is trying to please Sir Topham Hatt. And they know, too, that if Thomas is cross, he's not cross with them. One day, they had to wait for Henry's train, which made Thomas very cross. How can I run my line properly if Henry is always late? He doesn't realize that Sir Topham Hatt depends on me. Thomas whistled impatiently. He wanted to leave, but he had to wait for Henry's passengers. At last, Henry came. Where have you been, lazy bones? Oh dear, my system is out of order. No one understands my case. You don't know what I suffer. Rubbish, said Thomas. You're too slow. You need exercise. The conductor blew his whistle and Thomas started so quickly that he left him behind. The conductor waved his red flag to stop Thomas, but Thomas was well on his way, steaming out of the station. Come along, puffed Thomas. But Clarabelle didn't want to come. I've lost my nice conductor. I've lost my nice conductor, she sobbed. Annie tried to tell Thomas what had happened. We haven't a conductor. We haven't a conductor. But he was hurrying and wouldn't listen. Annie and Clarabelle tried to put on their brakes, but they couldn't without the conductor. Where is our conductor? Where is our conductor? They cried. But Thomas didn't stop till they came to a signal. Bother that signal, said Thomas. What's the matter? I don't know, said his driver. The conductor will tell us in a minute. They waited and waited, but the conductor didn't come. Beep, beep, beep. Where's the conductor? Whistled Thomas. We've left him behind, sobbed Annie and Clarabelle together. Everyone looked. And there he was, running as fast as he could along the line with his flags in one hand and his whistle in the other. He was very hot, so he had a drink, and told them that Thomas had left them behind. I'm very sorry, said Thomas. We all make mistakes, replied the conductor. Look, the signal is down. We can go. Let's make up for lost time. Annie and Clarabelle were so pleased to have their conductor again that they sang "As fast as you like, as fast as you like" to Thomas all the way. They reached the end of the line quicker than ever before.
You can often tell whether Thomas is happy or sad. When he's happy, he blows his whistle. When he's sad, he lets out a slow wheesh of steam. See if you can tell whether Thomas is happy or sad. Thomas is arriving at a station. He's late delivering his important load. Does this make Thomas happy or sad? Thomas is wheeshing out steam. Can you remember what that means? That's right. Thomas is sad. Being late with his delivery makes Thomas sad. Now Thomas has another delivery to make. But now he's on time. Does being on time make Thomas happy or sad? He's blowing his whistle. Can you remember what that means? Yes, Thomas is happy. Delivering his load on time makes Thomas happy. Well done, Thomas.
One morning, Henry was feeling very sorry for himself. Sometimes he could pull trains, but sometimes he felt he had no strength at all. I suffer dreadfully and no one cares. Rubbish, Henry, snorted James. You don't work hard enough. Sir Topham Hatt spoke to him too. What's wrong with you, Henry? You have had lots of new parts and new paint too, but they've done you no good. If we can't make you better, we must get another engine instead of you to do the work. This made Henry, his driver, and fireman very sad. Sir Topham Hatt was waiting when Henry came to the platform. He had taken off his hat and coat and put on overalls. Henry managed to start, but his fireman was not satisfied. Henry is a bad steamer, he said to Sir Topham Hatt. I build up his fire, but it doesn't give enough heat. Henry tried very hard, but it was no good. He didn't have enough steam and came to a stop outside Edward's station. Oh dear, thought Henry. I shall have to go away. Oh dear, oh dear. All he could do was to go slowly onto a siding, and Edward took charge of the train. Sir Topham Hatt and the fireman went on discussing Henry's troubles. What do you think is wrong, fireman? Asked Sir Topham Hatt. Excuse me, sir, he answered, but the fact is the coal is wrong. We've had a poor lot lately, and today it's worse. The other engines can manage. They have big fireboxes. Henry's is small and can't make the heat. With Welsh coal, he'd be a different engine. It's expensive, said Sir Topham Hatt, but Henry must have a fair chance. James shall go and fetch some. When the Welsh coal came, Henry's driver and fireman were excited. Now we'll show them, Henry, old fellow. They carefully made his fire, putting large lumps of coal like a wall round the outside. Then the glowing middle part was covered with smaller lumps. You're spoiling my fire, complained Henry. Wait and see, said the fireman. We'll have a roaring fire just when we want it. The fireman was right. When Henry reached the platform, the water was boiling nicely, and he had to let off steam. How are you, Henry? Beep, beep, beep. I feel fine. Have you a good fire, driver? Never better, sir, and plenty of steam. No record breaking, warned Sir Topham Hatt. Don't push him too hard. Henry won't need pushing, sir. I'll have to hold him back. Henry had a lovely day. He had never felt so well in his life. He wanted to go fast, but his driver wouldn't let him. Steady, old fellow, he would say. There's plenty of time. They arrived early at the station. Thomas puffed in. Where have you been, lazy bones? Asked Henry. Oh, I can't wait for dawdling tank engines like you. Goodbye. Whoosh, said Thomas to the coaches. Have you ever seen anything like it? Both Annie and Clarabelle agreed that they never had.
Today, Thomas has to collect some timber from the new timber yard. It's the first time Thomas has been there. Toby is telling him the way. See if you can remember the way, too. First, Toby tells Thomas, go along the seaside. Next, collect some water at the water tower. then puff through Wellsworth Station. Thomas is trying to remember all those places. Can you remember them? Along the seaside, collect some water at the water tower, and through Wellsworth Station. Then, Toby tells Thomas, go under the stone bridge. Then follow the canal until you arrive at the timber yard. Thomas is ready to leave. I hope you were listening. Thomas might need your help. Can you remember where he goes first? First, Thomas goes along the seaside. Can you remember what Thomas needs to do next? He needs to fill up with water. Now where does he go? Through Wellsworth Station. Now, was it under or over the stone bridge? Can you remember? Under the stone bridge. Then follow the canal. And at last, Thomas arrives at the new timber yard. Did you remember all those places? Thomas did. Well done, Thomas. Every engine on the island of Sodor looks different. Can you tell who this is? This engine is dark green. It's only got a small roof on the cab. But it's got a very tall funnel. Do you know who it is yet? Here's another clue. This engine's got very big wheels. There's only one engine on Sodor who has wheels like that. Do you know who it is? Yes, it's Emily. Hello, Emily. It's a beautiful day on the island of Sodor. Percy has been chosen to take some children to the seaside. But Percy feels nervous. It's a very special job. Percy wants the children to have a wonderful day. What can Percy do to make himself feel better? Percy can fill his water tanks at the water tower. Then Percy knows he can make lots of steam and keep his engine nice and cool all day. But what can Percy do next to make himself feel good? Percy can have a lovely long washdown. Percy loves being clean and shiny. Now Percy looks his very best. What can Percy do next to feel good about his trip? Percy can make sure his tender is full of coal. Percy looks his best and is ready to go. Percy can steam ahead and know he'll arrive safely and on time. So what did Percy do? First, Percy filled his tanks with water at the water tower. Then, Percy had a really good wash. Finally, he made sure his tender was full of coal. Now Percy feels like a really useful engine. And he is ready to collect the children. Have a nice day at the seaside, Percy.
Toby is a tram engine. He has cow catchers and side plates and doesn't look like a steam engine at all. He takes freight cars from farms and villages to the main line and is cheerful to everyone he meets. He has a coach called Henrietta who has seen better days. "It's not fair at all," she grumbles, remembering that she used to be full and 9 cars would rattle behind her. Now there are only 3 or 4, for the farms and factories send their goods mostly by truck. Toby is always careful. The cars, buses, and trucks often have accidents. Toby hasn't had an accident for years, but the buses are crowded and Henrietta is empty. A lady and a stout gentleman stood on Toby's platform. He was, of course, Sir Topham Hatt, but Toby didn't know this yet. "Come on, grandfather," cried the children. "Do look at this engine." "That's a tram engine, Stephen," said Sir Topham Hatt. "Is it electric?" asked Bridget. "Whoosh!" hissed Toby. "Shh," said her brother. "You've offended him." "But trams are electric, aren't they?" "They are mostly, but this is a steam tram." "May we go in it, grandfather, please?" "Stop," said Sir Topham Hatt to the conductor. They all scrambled into Henrietta. "Hip, hip, hooray!" chanted Henrietta. But Toby didn't sing. "Electric indeed, electric indeed," he snorted. He was proud of being a steam train. "What is your name?" asked Sir Topham Hatt. "Toby, sir." "Thank you, Toby, for a very nice ride." "Thank you, sir," said Toby. He felt better now. This gentleman, he thought, is a gentleman who knows how to speak to engines. The children came every day for 2 weeks. Sometimes they rode with the conductor, sometimes in empty cars. On the last day of all, the driver invited them into his cab. All were sorry when they had to go away. And Sir Topham Hatt and his family thanked everyone. "Come again soon," replied Toby. We will," called the children. And they waved till Toby was out of sight. The months passed. Toby had few cars and fewer passengers. "Our last day, Toby," said his driver one morning. "The manager says we must close tomorrow." That day, everyone wanted the chance of a last ride. The passengers joked and sang, but Toby and his driver wished they wouldn't. "Goodbye, Toby," said the passengers afterwards. "We're sorry your line is closing down." "So am I," said Toby. Nobody wants me, Toby thought, and went unhappily to sleep. Next morning, the shed was flung open, and old Toby woke with a start to see his driver waving a piece of paper at him. "Wake up, Toby," he shouted excitedly. "The mail has just arrived, and there is a letter for us from the stout gentleman. Maybe it's good news."
He's the cheeky one.
James!
He's vain but lots of fun.
Percy!
Pulls a mail on time.